Hi everyone, welcome to Cookie Bites episode number 13. We are going to talk all about cookie booths. We have today, I am Kim Ross. We also have Kim Husin, Kim 2.0 The Upgrade, and we are from Silver Sage Council, excited to share with you all about cookie booths today. On our agenda, we will be talking about the different types of cookie booths. We'll talk about the cookie finder, some booth basics and booth etiquette, which is very important. We will talk about decorating and blinging your booth, which is probably my favorite part of this discussion. We'll also be talking about our Booth of the Week contest. It's so much fun to get to photograph your girls at the booths, and then we share them on social media and get everyone excited about it. And we also get to show great examples of cookie booths out there. And then we'll also share some other tips with you. And as always, we'll close with information about how to get your questions answered. Next slide, please. Okay, Kim, would you like to take this one?
Sure. So we've got a couple of different types of cookie booths. The first one, which is the one that most of you are all familiar with, are our council secured booths. These are locations that are grabbed by council. They are typically your big chain stores, so your Walmarts, your Albertsons, your Fred Meyer, like Grocery Outlet, Ridley's, D&B. If it has multiple locations and not like independent and individual owners, this is probably where those are. We also have troop secured booths. So the troop secured booth is any booth location that is submitted into Smart Cookies as a booth location for a troop to use. This could be your mom and pop coffee shops. This could be your pie in the face pizza place. This could I'm running off of random stuff that I'm thinking of off the top of my head here. So these could be like your, mom and dad own a boutique and they want to have a cookie booth outside it because they're right on Main Street and this would be a great location. So the troop wants to have a booth there. These do need to be submitted into Smart Cookies so the council can approve them. We do have a couple of different parameters that we need to make sure that they meet with, like that they are not too close to a dispensary or a liquor store, or that they are a establishment that girls could actually patronage at. Is that the right word, patronage? You need to make sure that they are actually a location that girls, could patronize. Yes. So there's a couple of things that we need to figure out in there. However, troops can also share these locations. If you think you've got a great location, you've partnered with a local cinema and you're going to do a booth outside on the weekends there, and you're not going to take up all of those weekends, but they offered them to you, you can let us know and we can offer them up to other troops as a council secured booth location. Then within those two different kinds of booths, there are also two different types of cookie booths. One is a troop booth. A troop booth must have at least two approved non-related adult volunteers that are there with the girls. It needs to have at least two different girls that are also unrelated. And we really recommend not to have more than 4 girls at a cookie booth, because when you think about it and you're divvying up these cookies, you want it to be worth it for the girls to have spent, 1 to 3 hours at this booth. And if they're going to sell 100 packages of cookies at that booth over those 3 hours and all 4 girls are there for all 3 hours, they're only going to be getting 25 packages each. So making sure that it's worthwhile for the girls to be there and not have your entire troop of 8 to 10 girls at a cookie booth at the same time. That way, instead of getting 25 packages each, they get 5.
It's also very hard to, sorry, I was going to share that it also is very hard to manage that many girls and try to keep track of them, the money, the cookies, all of that stuff. That is just overload with, 6 or 7 of them.
Yes. So Four tends to be a good number to be able to manage and wrangle and distribute cookies evenly too. The other type of booth that we have is the Mom and Me booth. A Mom and Me booth is one Girl Scout or a set of Girl Scout siblings and their caregiver or a approved adult from their caregiver. So this could be an aunt or an uncle or grandma or um, you know, doesn't have to necessarily be mom specifically. It could be dad. This adult does not need to be an approved volunteer that is registered with Girl Scouts. And that is only for the Mom and Me booths.
I just thought of something. What if we call it like girl and grown up?
Oh, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and it just has to be, like Kim was saying, it does not have to be a registered volunteer, just someone that the family or the caregivers trust with their girl, their cookies, and their money. So if whoever that is in your life, that person can be the supervisor at the cookie booth.
I like that. A girl and a grown up.
Hmm.
Um, so also for your cookie booths, I'm not sure why this note's on here, but the cupboards will be open by around February 19th if you need to pick up more cookies that were not included in your initial order.
That's exactly why I added it. So
Yes.
there are cookies that you'll get at the very, very beginning. So that'll be the week of like the 12th of February. And girls can use those cookies to go door to door. Clearly, the first priority is to deliver to customers who've already paid. And then once you are, thinking about what booths you're going to operate, you'll want to keep track of your inventory and make sure you have enough. So the cupboards do open prior to the cookie um, booth startup date so that you can ensure that you have enough product to sell.
Yes. So for scheduling booths, we do our cookie booths in a as a first come first serve basis, but we do them in rounds. So round one will take place on Sunday, January 11th. It starts at 7 p.m. That is when the booth selection opens for all troops. And troops can select up to two booths at any different location. So they could have one at Albertsons, one at Ridley's. They could do one at Fred Meyer, one at Walmart. They just cannot both be at an Albertsons. They cannot both be at Walmart. This allows it to be a little bit more fair so that every troop, because we do have some areas where there are a lot of troops. The Treasure Valley, Idaho Falls area, Pocatello, Twin has it a bit. There's so many troops that we want to distribute those big retail stores as evenly as possible to the troops that want them. So we limit that first selection to just two booths, and they have to be at different locations. And yes, we do look through and make sure that there are ones that are different locations. The next round opens on that following Wednesday, so it'll be January 14th, also at 7 p.m. And then troops can choose up to three more booths. So this will give them a cumulative total of 5 booths. Now, if they've only selected one booth in that first round, they can still only select three in the second round. It's not an it is an additional amount. It is not a go backtrack and fill it in. Um, so they will have up to 5 total booths on the after the 14th, and then on January, and there's no limitation as to what they can pick in that 14th section, the round two. You can pick however many Albertsons, however many Walmarts you want to pick. And then on January 17th, on that Saturday, the troops are free to choose however many other booths that their troop will need. Once troops fulfill all of the booths that they need in order to reach their troop goals, they can start selecting some of those Mom and Me booths for girls who have asked for them, or girl and grown up booths uh, for the girls and parents who have asked for those. That way, the troop can still fulfill all of what they need, in addition to grabbing some of those extra booths for their go-getters or their the girls who want a little bit extra. Um, this, you might notice if you've done this for a few years, these dates have been moved up a week from the last couple of years so that we could allow troops and families more time to coordinate their schedules. So we kind of figured the sooner that y'all would be able to pick your booths, um, and the sooner that, you know, you guys can coordinate and make sure that you have people who are going to be there.
Yes, and it's also earlier in the timeline of the cookie sale so that you have more time to include your calculations for what you think you'll need for the booths during the initial order period. So it gives you plenty of leeway for that as well. And so we will be uploading the lists of cookie booths that are approved and waiting for approval as soon as we possibly can. And of course, we'll send out messaging to let you know when that takes place so you can look at it in advance.
Um, so something kind of special about some of our Walmart booths is the Walmart Supercenters. They have two doorways. They have usually have one at the grocery area and then one at the like home pharmacy area. Um, your troop, if you choose a Walmart, can choose to have a booth at each doorway. However, they must be fully staffed booths. So this could, you know, be a mom and me at one door and a mom and me at the other door. This could be a troop booth at one door and a mom and me at the other door. Um, it could be two troop booths, but if it is two troop booths, that means you need a total of 4 adults that are unrelated at each doorway, but you'd have like mom and dad, one on either side, if you had a family who needed to do that. And then that other adult would need to be unrelated. So you wouldn't be able to have like mom and grandma on one side and then dad and someone else on the other side. Um, and so they have to be like fully independent booths. Um, what what it cannot be are 3 unrelated background checked adults, 2 at one door, 1 at the other door, and 2 girls at each booth. That does not follow our Girl Scout safety checkpoints, so that is not something that can happen at those Walmart booths. And should you have a council member or a Kim or another troop leader swing by and happen to see your booths, they do report them. We do see those, and we can, you know, say something and do something, and we don't want you to take away your cookie boothing. So just keep it safe, stay within the checkpoints, and make sure that, you know, the girls are safe, you're safe, everyone has fun. So some tips for that booth scheduling, getting back to the actual topic, is pay attention to the start times for those. They do start exactly at 7. It is a once the clock hits sort of thing. The first 2 weekends tend to have higher sales. The first weekend has higher sales than the second weekend, but they will be your heavier weekends. Make sure you consider your travel times when you're booking your booths. If you're trying to do multiple booths on one day, make sure that you're not trying to do a 12 to 3 at Albertsons on Main Street and then a 3 to 6 at Walmart all the way across town. You're not going to be able to get there and, you know, take down one booth, set up the next booth without having a lack of time at one of those places. Another thing, super big pet peeve to me personally, remove a booth that you or your troop cannot operate. So this is a thing for both customers and for other troops. One, we'll see in a couple of slides, we have a system called the Cookie Finder. And the Cookie Finder alerts all of our cookie customers as to where our troops are at selling cookies. If your troop cannot make it to a cookie booth and they don't remove it in the smart cookie system, the customers still think there's a booth there. And so they will email customer care or they will complain to Fred Meyer and be like, hey, I thought you're supposed to have Girl Scout cookies here. Where are the Girl Scouts? And so then our customers get upset and then they don't want to use the cookie finder, which is really the best way for us to direct them to find Girl Scout cookies. Another thing is it's for other troops too. I cannot tell you how many times I saw that a booth, at my daughter's like favorite boothing location was scheduled. I have to go do a grocery run. We go over there. There's no Girl Scouts. And she's like, Mom, I would have taken that booth spot. Like, could we go set up? And as much as I would like to tell her, yeah, sure, let's go grab our cookies out of the truck and set up, that's not being, fair and ethical because we didn't have that time slot. Somebody else did. But not removing that slot now means that I see it on the cookie finder as a place where I could go get cookies. And I also see it as a parent of a Girl Scout who sees it and goes, but this could be manned by a Girl Scout. A Girl Scout could be selling cookies here, and somebody is blocking another Girl Scout from being able to make those sales. So we want to make sure that we are considerate and that, we are a sister to every Girl Scout. And there are girls who do have those big goals, who want to go to Disney or to National Convention or to some big destination trip, and they are trying to sell 2, 3, 4,000 packages of cookies so that they can, attain these trips, and preventing them from selling those cookies by not having a booth slot open because your girl was sick last minute and not removing the booth just hampers some of those other girls with the bigger goals who would take it on. So final reminder there, just to be considerate and caring and be that sister to every Girl Scout. This is not a competition. We're all in this together. Every time a Girl Scout sells a package of cookies, all Girl Scouts benefit because the cookie crumbles for all of them. They all end up winning eventually, whether it is in programming or whether it is in troop proceeds or whether it is in their girl rewards or in their program credits. Every girl wins when girls sell cookies. So whether your girl is selling 100 or if she is selling 1,000 or if she wants to reach to the moon and sell 10,000, that is on her and on your schedule. and totally doable, but we want to make sure that it is fair and available to the girls who want to shoot for the stars. Okay. So cookie booth tips. Yay, this is probably one of my favorite slides. So a great tip that I received from another leader was do your cookie booth distribution, your transfers every day or every other day. The more you keep up with it, the easier it is for you to reconcile it at the end and for you to catch mistakes along the way because you are being consistent about it. After you've, gotten a couple of days have passed, it's harder to remember any of the quirks or oddities that might have happened that needed to be addressed, especially after more booths have taken place. And if you're not doing that first booth, at least within the week that it has taken place, before your next booth start the following weekend, if you forget that, oh my gosh, I had somebody swap out an entire case of Thin Mints with Caramel Delights and I didn't write it down and now your inventory is off. So now when you go into the next booth, your inventory is going to be off. It messes up the rest of it. And if you can't remember what happened in that first booth because you're doing it 4 or 5 weeks in, it's going to be harder for you to reconcile that. So it is definitely easier to fix things earlier. And if you need one of us to help you, or if you need another staff member to help you, or a service unit member, or another leader to help, it's easier for all of that to happen as soon as it's caught. And the earlier it's caught, the more options we have to help you. Was that what you were going to say, Kim?
That was exactly what I was going to share. And I was also going to underscore the keeping records in a timely manner. One of the things that happens when, you go to booth number 2 and your inventory is off, then it really does compound the problem. So it gets worse and worse and worse. And then as you forget things, or as you don't write receipts for other kinds of transfers of cookies, it can get very tangled up very quickly. And Kim is right. We have a lot of different ways we can help you. And every day that ticks by, we have fewer and fewer options to be able to do that. So if you even think you might have a question, contact customer care. We want to get in front of any issues or questions or needs that you have. And you may have just found a glitch that other people are having but didn't know about. So do contact us if anything looks off, and if you just need any guidance or insight.
It definitely will make reconciling at the end a lot easier if you're kind of doing little things along the way. It'll also make it less stressful. And we know that cookies is a very stressful time for troop cookie managers, for troop leaders, for even parents. And the more we can take that stress away by having things organized and receipts written and cookies are all reconciled, that just makes it easier for you in the long run. And most importantly, for tracking these things, is the girls want to know how they're doing. They want to know where they are towards their goals. And if your cookie manager's not putting in the booths and distributing those cookies, she has no idea where she's at. There have been, I'm gonna do a little sneak in here. There have been a lot of amazing changes to the digital cookie platform. We learned about them yesterday on a webinar, and it is going to make some of these inventory things so much easier on parents and troops. And I can't wait to share them with you. So that will definitely help out. But again, digital cookie is only going to know what the cookie manager enters in smart cookies. And if the true cookie manager is not entering anything in smart cookies, then digital cookie can't add that to the girls total. So, and this is again, at the end of that season, if a girl is trying to get that 675, she wants that stuffy, and she's at 600, and mom was like, we would have done a mom and me booth, but we didn't know where she was at. So we didn't know that she needed one more booth, and that one more booth would have gotten her to the reward that she really wanted. So that's another thing too, is that if the girls don't know where they're at in their booth, cookies, they have a harder time trying to manage where they're at on their rewards, especially if they're trying to reach a certain spot. When you are at a booth, make sure that you are friendly, helpful. Make sure you're sister to every Girl Scout. Maybe help the troop before you take their stuff down, but don't rush them to take their stuff down. Make sure that they've counted their inventory, and that they are tracking what they need to do in order to make sure that they've got what they need taken care of. But just helping them do that. If they've taken their inventory count, help them stack their boxes into the wagon, or bring them out to their car, or fold up their table and their tablecloths. Maybe help them pack up their wagon if that's what they're using to maneuver back and forth. We also recommend taking a printout of your booth schedule to every booth that, especially if your adults in charge don't have access to smart cookies, just in case another troop ends up coming in at the same time and claiming that they're at that booth at the same time, same space, then you have proof that you were in that location. We have had it in the past where a troop was, setting up at the, Albertsons on Main Street on this side of town, and they thought they were at the other side of town. And so they're having some of that proof of where you're at, but also digital cookie is going to display the addresses better. So another sneak, the actual address will be displayed in digital cookie this year. So it'll be a lot easier to confirm which address you're supposed to be setting up at for not only troops leaders that have access to smart cookies, but for all of the parents as well. Then we also have some fun things available on our website, which are in the process of getting updated to include the new Explore Mores. There is a paper and digital tracking for booth inventory management. These are personally what I use for my daughter's cookie tracking, and they have been the best thing I have ever found online. Turns out that the spreadsheet was actually created by one of our own staff members, and I found it in a Facebook group. Funny how things come full circle sometimes. But the paper checklist, that is exactly what I send with my kid to her booths. Last year, my parents came into town and helped her with a few of her booths, and which was great. But I ended up having to turn to my own mother and go, Mom, I don't trust your counting. I have to double count everything. Which I kind of felt like I was, breaking some sort of trust in there, but also I wanted to make sure that not only were my daughter's cookie sales correct, but that our inventory was right, because my mom wasn't the person on the hook for all of those, dollars and cookies. I was. So I had to double check and make sure that everything was right and all of the numbers matched up. Because at the end of the day, I didn't want to owe any extra for cookies that I didn't have to owe, right? No one wants to owe any extra that they didn't have to owe. So this tracking sheet has saved my butt so many times, let me tell you. Also, we've got the cookie menus. So also, sneak peek, if your girls are headed to any of our cookie rallies, they are going to have the opportunity to get one of these cookie menus in a cute little laminated pouch and a lanyard. And this is if they hadn't gotten a lanyard and pouch before. If they have one from the previous years, awesome, great, hang on to it. We'll just swap out the piece of paper and you will have all of the Explore More's information and stuff on it. So those are getting an update and they'll be at cookie rallies. Also available on our website is going to be a cookie booth bingo page, which a few of our troops have had some amazing success with, this cookie booth bingo, and just picking up a couple of little, dollar tchotchkes, either at the store, the dollar store, at the Girl Scout shop. And anytime one of the girls gets a bingo at a cookie booth, giving her a little prize, whether it's a sticker or a pencil or an eraser or something. Just kind of that instant reward that she can get by playing cookie booth bingo. And the instructions are included on the cookie booth bingo pages. So some fun stuff coming to Cookie Central. All right, Kim, did you want to talk about the Cookie Finder?
I love the Cookie Finder. So the Cookie Finder is a web page. It's a tool where your customers can go to find out where the closest cookie booth is. It lists in the system every single cookie booth, starting with the zip code and then by time, every booth slot that has been reserved. So it'll tell you, Albertsons on Main Street from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, then Fred Meyer on State Street, and it'll give you all the times and all the days when the cookie booths are reserved, anticipating that you or some Girl Scout will be there with cookies. Again, this is one of the reasons why it's important to release any booth that you won't be able to operate as soon as you know that you won't be able to operate it. So don't wait until, it's 5 minutes beforehand and you're like, you know what, we don't feel like it, click. Because people will have searched for it earlier in the day and will be expecting to find cookies. And so it'll also allow a troop, starting on January 6th, a troop, once they set up their troop direct link on Digital Cookie, an option will be there also to purchase directly from the troop. And so that is really great. It's another opportunity to get some sales under your belt there. So again, please do release those booths as you're available to do so.
So something kind of fun. I went in there to the Cookie Finder earlier just to see what it would look like when we're not in cookie season.
Ooh.
And this is what it looks like. So it does tell them that, hey, your area's program starts in about this many days. Look at that. We have 46 days till the cookie program starts.
Yay! It's gonna be awesome.
Yes. And then it also says to sign up for text messages. So if they want some more information on, like, hey, the cookie program is starting tomorrow, hey, booths are going to be opening up on February 20th, they can text cookies to this number and it'll send some automated messages about the cookie program, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. That's great.
Okay.
So this slide talks about some basics when it comes to cookie booths. This troop you can see here, they are doing a lot of things right. They have a sign with, my favorite, a tangible goal. So not, buy some cookies. That's compelling, but it's not as compelling as help us go to Girl Scout camp, help us donate food to the animal shelter, help us build squirrel nests. No reason at all why I made that thought. Then also, you see here that the cookies are very nicely displayed. They are lined up, they are neat, they're displayed on a table with a Girl Scout tablecloth. Even a green tablecloth, a plastic one from the dollar store, is just fine. Those are easy to get. And then you also see the table's pretty full of the cookies, so there's not money just sitting around on the table. It is okay to have the cash box at the back corner, and you can also have it further back behind the actual booth table. So you can see here that the girls are doing a great job. They are engaged, they are paying attention to what's happening here. Every single one of them is wearing a smile, which I think is terrific. They're wearing their Girl Scout uniform piece, and so that typically is a vest, sash, or tunic, and they are supervised. You see they have one of the necessary two leaders there. And also they're using, I can see their hands up, so that means they're using motion to be visually interesting, and they're also using sound with that bullhorn. Girls love to sing songs to get attention. They like coming up with their own chants and things like that. So they really are getting excited, pumping themselves up, and then again, drawing that visual and audio interest for the customers who might just otherwise be just walking by.
Yeah,
And
the
then,
other adult is probably taking the picture.
right, didn't
Right.
think of that. So we'll talk about a few ways to enhance the basic booth on the next slide. Oh, no, we don't.
Nope, I sorry, I snuck this one in on you. So the next one, we've got a little bit of booth etiquette. Um, so not only in a, should the girls be presentable and things like that, but they should be easily identified as Girl Scouts, whether that is wearing their uniform or even just the insignia tag on the outside of their heavy winter coat, because we know that it gets cold in Idaho. Um, and or another item that says Girl Scouts on it. This doesn't necessarily mean that it's your, hoodie with your axolotl or your ferret or your panda from years past, because that mascot is very internal. It's very girl focused. The public has no idea that we put a mascot to the cookie program. That is very for the girls. So having something that says Girl Scouts on it is so having something that says Girl Scouts on it is more important for the cookie program when the girls are out at their booths. Another thing is to decorate your booth. The next couple of slides will show some examples of not only our council girls, but some other councils who have done a Bling the Booth contest, or they've decorated their booth in different manners. For decorations, you could maybe have a display for Operation Cookie, whether that is a box that they can put donation cookies in, or if that is just a sign that says this is where our donation cookies are going. Having a poster that identifies a personal or troop goal, like the one in the last slide. Maybe a entire poster that has activities or photos of activities that your troop has done with the cookie proceeds, or activities that you guys have done because you're Girl Scouts. You want to make sure that you smile and you give eye contact, that you use your manners and polite voices. Um, don't block the entrances and exits to the hosting business. Avoid eating, drinking, or chewing gum while you're interacting with your customers. We know that sometimes avoiding drinking, like having a water bottle or something like that, is unavoidable. Like girls need to stay hydrated. But don't have it on your table. Like have it under the table or off to the side. The last thing we want is for you to treat your girl to like a hot chocolate and have her put it on the table, and then next thing you know, it spills all over the cookies and papers. And yeah, that's just not good. Ask me how I know. Uh, um, Additionally, as Girl Scouts, we want to follow the always leave an area cleaner than when you found it. Um, it's part of, what I remember in the program as a Girl Scout when I was younger, and to my knowledge, it's still a part of it. Leave
Absolutely.
the space cleaner than when you found it.
Hmm.
Right. Kim, would you like to talk about Bling Your Booth?
Love that. Yes, let's talk about getting your booth a little bit more eye-catching, a little more interesting, a little bit more organized. We've already talked about displaying a sign with a tangible goal. So as you remember a few slides ago, they were saving up their monies for camp. The cookies were neatly displayed on the table. Information about Operation Cookie is great to have on the table. That could include an American flag, a veteran's photo. My dad's a veteran, so I could, bring him and maybe put him in camo and do those sorts of things. Maybe bring his hat or something like that. People love a good story as well. So if you have a story about your uncle or your grandpa, or we've got folks in our council whose mothers are veterans too. So just about everybody knows a current military member or veteran. We also recommend signage about accepting credit cards and PayPal and Venmo. There are quite a few folks who walk right past a cookie booth because they think the cookie booth only accepts cash, and that is just not true anymore. Girl Scouts have come a long way, and so they're again able to do credit cards, PayPal, and Venmo. Please do have a sign there. Also, colorful signs and sales tools. So that could include banners. We loan out items at the council as well, like um, a big air dancer, which we'll talk about in a future slide. Pinterest and social media has some terrific ideas. So if you Google something like Girl Scout cookie booth examples or something like that, you'll get lots and lots of ideas. One thing we typically caution folks on, though, is for in social media or Pinterest, those are typically national resources. And I would say 99.9% of all of the cookie information is specific to your council. So there is a possibility that you will see things that are not allowed at our council. So again, do seek ideas from social media and Pinterest. And if you're not sure if that's something that's okay at Silver Sage, let us know. Again, customer care is the best way to get to us. And then again, you can borrow sales tools. So other troops may have sales tools you can borrow. Other troops, service units, or even the council. We have some pretty big items that we loan out, and you just need to let us know so we can schedule them. Next slide, please.
Okay, well, actually, this slide has some bonus features.
What?
Right? So I went onto Pinterest, and I had to stop myself from going down the rabbit hole of Bling Your Booth Pinterest. And I found some really awesome Bling
Oh,
Your Booth options that girls in other councils have done.
so cute.
Right? Like I love this like Daisy Garden theme that they seem to have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay. So
Really,
then
really
we
cute.
have, right? Yeah. So some of the things that some of our girls have done. So these are all Silver Sage Girl Scouts. So we've got the decorative crates. The bottom picture, they actually have that big display board of different adventures that their troop has gone on, um, with not just cookie money, but just things that they've done as Girl Scouts. Got some panda theme, luau grass. I love the creativeness, the banners, and they don't have to be big either. They don't have to
Hmm.
be, crates or giant, constructed things. Um, just like a tablecloth and a banner. And this one that just showed up, they used their old cookie boxes
Hmm.
as like stairs or as platforms um, for them. And then these girls created cute little cookie costumes. They have homemade cookie costumes, which is adorable. So they don't have to be big. They can be, as simple as a tablecloth and a banner. But the more like creative and colorful that it is, the more it draws the eyes of your customer. But do we expect you to spend hundreds of dollars on blinging your booth? Absolutely not. Um, that's, you know, not the goal of decorating your booths. The goal of decorating your booths is to draw your customers to your booths. Okay. So some of those pictures that were featured above are also some of our Cookie Booth of the Week winners. Our Cookie Booth of the Week is it's a Google form that gets filled out and you can submit photos. Then the Wednesday after a Cookie Booth weekend, um, Kim and I go through and we look at all of the photos that have been submitted and we pick out some of our favorites if we don't have a clear favorites. Um, and then sometimes we have other members of our council team look at the pictures and be like, okay, which one did you guys like the best? I can't decide. Help me pick. Um, and so they get kind of voted on as a Cookie Booth of the Week winner. Then at the end of the cookie program, all of those winners get an email with the instructions on how they can redeem their pizza party or ice cream party or salad bar party or whatever kind of food-based party the girls have decided that they would like to have as winning their booth of the week. We call it a pizza party, but it really could be, whatever they want. They could do a sandwich deli bar. Uh, I don't know. I'm
Lots of
just like
options.
coming up with ideas. The booth of the week, it helps us to, give you in these materials pictures of our girls, like our Idaho Girl Scouts in their element, selling their cookies, being their amazing selves. And so we do want to thank everyone who has submitted those photos this year or last year and the year before for helping us get some of those like visuals that we don't always get because we can't be across the entire state, every day. Hi. So, um, girls can find even more success at their cookie booths if they kind of think outside that box. Um, Making sure that they ask every single person as they exit the store. Make it a game. How many people can you ask? Um, Introduce the explore words to every customer. If do you love chocolate ice cream with marshmallows in it? Like this is kind of like that. It tastes like the ice cream. Um, give the customers the opportunity to donate to Operation Cookie. In addition to having that display on your booth table, just remind them, hey, if they give you a $20 bill and only getting $18 of cookies, would you like to donate your change towards a box for Operation Cookie? Um, I very few times do they actually say no. Um, but also, because I mean, who really wants to have a couple of singles in their wallet, right? Especially if they're only getting money for cookies. But so then one they're, donating that to have a feel good. But then our military and our veterans get a box of cookies. So everybody wins. Make sure you thank everyone, even if they say no. Thank you anyway goes goes a long way on that no. Because just because they said no to you doesn't mean they'll say no in the future. And regardless of if you're selling the cookies to them, it's still a win for Girl Scouts. Um, Practice with your family first. My my thing when I was a Girl Scout, my mom made me pick up the phone and make phone calls. And so when I had to do that, and I was always terrified of making these phone calls. Um, but I would start with, my grandma or my uncle, who I knew they were going to say yes. Like I just had to, kind of buck it up, get the courage and to actually make the phone call and say the words. So practicing on family is 100% the way to go. And I told my brother that with my nephew. My nephew just joined Cub Scouts and he's been selling popcorn. And so I told my brother, I'm like, yeah, have him call me. I can be his practice person because I'm gonna say yes. I want my popcorn, but also like he can get that nervous jitter out first and kind of figure out what he wants to say. Um, and it's easiest to do that with a family member who isn't gonna like come back at you and be like, that was awful. Why'd you say that? But you know what? Maybe they need to tell you the truth and just be like, this didn't sound the greatest. Maybe we should tweak it. But they will help you through it because that's what family does. Um, so and learning how to respond to their answers. Uh, but asking them some of those questions like, what is your favorite cookie? Um, Introducing your sales goal, like, picking up that phone and being like, Grandma, I'm calling because I'm selling Girl Scout cookies and my goal is to sell 500 packages this year. I'm only at 100. Can you help me get towards my goal? And, if Grandma's got the ability to buy a couple packages of cookies, who's going to say no to that? Uh, Another thing is when you're at your booth, an extra little something is to bring some like, used grocery bags for them to take their cookies away in. Um, Carrying 3, 4, 5 boxes of cookies is not always easy, especially when they're in the plastic packaging and they're not in a cardboard box. Um, so just being able to give that extra service of already having a bag available. So start now saving all of those, plastic grocery bags that you're collecting when you're doing your own grocery runs and use those to distribute to your customers when it comes time for cookies. Um, Another option is to bring some little business cards or display a QR code on your table so that customers can reorder cookies from you. This is also a great idea for when you're making your deliveries and to have a little something that you tape to your packages or, staple to a bag. Um, and, having it when you deliver it, it's just in case you want more, because, we all know you can run through that entire box of Thin Mints in a week. Um, so if you want more, here's a QR code. Here's how you can order more. But just to also know that those QR codes, if they scan it at your booth and open it up on their app, they do time out. So if they scan it there and they're going to order it when they get home, but they have an hour to drive, it may time out by the time they get home. So having a physical something that they can take with them, like a business card, might be a better way to go. Things to think about. Okay. A couple more ideas. So when you're at your booth, make sure you have enough change. Make sure you have enough fives and singles because we do have $6 per package. You are going to need quite a few of those. Make sure you have either a cash box, a money box, or some sort of money pouch. My daughter is one, she likes the little zipper pouches because they're easy for us to just kind of stick in our aprons. But I know other troops that swear by the cash box. My daughter's way too distracted by the key, so money pouch is the way that we need to go. Make sure you have your service unit cookie manager's contact information, whether that is their phone number or their email address or their band, like whatever way they want you to communicate with them, make sure you know who that person is. They should be your first person to contact when you have a question, because most of the time they will have an answer. And if they don't have an answer, then we can escalate it up to customer care or to one of us. Or, wherever that needs to go. My thought lost. um, Another handy thing to have at your booth, whether you have it displayed or whether you just have it, in your cash box or in your money pouch, is an allergen sheet. So that if somebody comes up to the booth and is like, "Oh, I can't have chocolate. Which of your cookies don't have chocolate?" Um, you can pull out that allergen sheet and you can figure out which cookies they are able to have. Um, a water bottle is a great tool for girls to have at their booth. Again, either make sure that it closes or that you put it underneath your table or off on the side. Do not have it displayed amongst your cookies. Um, One, we don't want germs to accidentally transfer to our customers because that's kind of gross. And two, you wouldn't want it to spill or anything like that. And then A, she loses her water, and B, now you have a wet table. Um, it is winter. We all get head colds. We all get sniffles. So having some tissues handy is not a bad idea. Um, my daughter's troop made Citipons out of like Home Depot buckets. So they took a Home Depot bucket and then they took like a piece of cushion and fabric and then they put the fabric over the cushion on the lid. And so they made a little Citipon. And this has been great to take to cookie booths because then she can have all those things. She can have a small blanket and the tissues and the water bottle and her first aid kit and her bags that she gives to her customers. They can all fit inside that bucket. And that's just one item we're pulling out of the truck to put in our wagon instead of grabbing all of these other little items. So whether or not you use it as a sit-upon, it also is a great, just handy tool to have a little bucket of stuff or a bag of stuff. Um, I also have a bag of stuff. Can't go anywhere without the leader bag, right? Um, it may not be a bad idea to have a trash bag. A lot of times, if you are at that Albertsons or Walmart or whatever, there might be a trash can that is just down the way that you could go throw your trash out at. But having a trash bag at your booth kind of it adds to that leave no trace, leave the place cleaner than when you found it. Um, because maybe a stray piece of paper comes across your path and you want to pick it up and now you can take care of it. Um, it and then having that cookie counting sheet, your inventory sheet. So whether you do a tally sheet or if you do the addition, subtraction inventory sheet that we had posted a couple of slides ago, having a way to track the cookies that you brought to your booth, what you're leaving your booth with, and how much money you've collected is going to be a critical inventory management tool for you guys. Personally, I don't care for the tally sheets just because it is difficult if you have a big cluster or rush of people trying to keep track of all of those tally marks and did I get this one, did I not get that one, did I get this order, did I not get that order. It tends to be a little bit more chaotic. I know some troops that swear by their tally sheets, they love them, they would not do anything else, but for me, tally sheet was a no-go. I preferred the inventory in, inventory out, and just making sure everything matched up at the end. But to each their own. If tally sheets work for you, tally sheets are great. There is a great resource that contains a tally sheet on our Cookie Central page as well. Kim, would you like to go over some of our other social medias and other tips?
Absolutely, thank you. So social media is a place where we need to make sure that girls stay safe. And so we don't want to have individual girls identified as heading to a specific booth. So you can say, oh, my troop is having a booth at the Walmart on Main Street today and give the times. But you don't want to say that I will be at the booth at certain times. That is something that's not public information. If you'd like to text that to Uncle Steve, great. But do not do that in public social media. We've already talked about manners, and that's critical. And I just want to make sure you're aware that customers, as well as the store owners and store managers, they don't see Troop 555 or Sally Smith. They see Girl Scouts. And so we absolutely do not want to be running around in the store, stealing merchandise. We talked about blocking the entrance or exit. Be on your best behavior. make sure that we are valuing the um, make sure that we are evaluating the relationships that we have with these business partners. It is critical moving forward. Um, One of the reasons is that nationwide, Girl Scout cookies at cookie booths specifically really account for 60% of all the cookies sold. So it's absolutely critical that we keep all of the booth partners and keep making more so that we have a great, robust program for all the girls in our council. All right, so if anyone has questions, we've reiterated this throughout our series, but we want to make sure you're aware that the best way to reach our team is through customer care. So you see the email address and the phone number here. Calls and emails get funneled into a queue of messaging that Kim and I work from. And so it allows us the opportunity to do it asynchronously, so we don't have to be, in a specific place at a specific time to go through them together. We also don't have multiple messages, one to her and one to me, and then copying the membership manager and the cookie mom and all those things. It's so much easier if you just put customer care in the to field. Feel free to copy and inform anyone else on the planet if you need to. And please make sure the to column is only customer care so that we know that we don't need to take care of something because it's being taken care of at customer care. Kim and I have a huge project managing the information that we have in the cookie program and answering all of your questions, and we want to do that in the best way that we can, and so we don't have time to do any of the work twice. So we appreciate you contacting customer care when you have needs. And then I
It's
think our next one is a delightful thank you. We appreciate that you have come to our Cookie Bites. This is episode 13, like we talked about. We're glad you're learning more information, tips and tricks about the cookie program, getting the vocabulary down for cookie training and prepping for all the fun things ahead for you and your troop. And again, we thank you so much for your efforts and can't wait to work with you soon.
Hi everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.